Good morning. Well, I got a question earlier from another connection over on Facebook, and how basically it was around how do you create calm and how do you have peace of mind, especially these days when a lot of politics can be very damaging to that. And there's a couple of things. The most importantly obvious would be being able to do that. And that comes from healing. That's a neurological thing. And what that means is that if my body feels safe, and it can because of that, then it's easier to have peace and calm in this time of living. But there are several other things that I practice and have for a while just to stay away from this or this. Yeah, devices. So, like in the evening when I go to sleep, I okay, so it's supposed to show up here. Anyway, I'm practicing something new. So if you want to make a comment, do so. I think it'll show up. Oh, right here, right where my fingertip is on my computer screen is a little square, and a comment will show up there. This will be interesting, huh? Anyway, there are several things I do. So at night before I go to bed, whoop, this goes away, and so does that. And I'll open a book. I'm reading several of them. I do have the entire Amber Chronicles that I am contemplating starting. It's about that thick. Yeah, all 10 of them. And then, so, or, and I have Christopher Hitchens' book on Thomas Jefferson. And then I have also Daniel Levitin's book on weaponized lies. So, but they're books. Never mind this one that I still need to finish. Robert Plutchik's on emotions. Then I have Hans Selye's book, but it's so fragile. I dog-eared a page once, and it broke off. All right. And I learned how to make notes in books a long time ago, and the paper is so fragile sometimes that the pen breaks it up. It's kind of like, oh, so I need to get a new one of those. Good reading though. So anyway, at night I shut down, get off devices. I take my shower, do all that kind of thing if I haven't done it already, and then I just sit down in my recliner and start reading. And I'll cut this out about an hour ahead of time, and sometimes two, and then so for example, I might make a cup of coffee when I get home, the way I like it, and then it's still sitting there in the morning where I left it because I didn't finish it. Meaning I didn't hardly finish any of it in any event. So I stop eating hours ahead of time, cut way back on stuff, and then I finish up with a little bit of water. I know that might wake me up later. However, I think that sets the stage. So in the morning, when I get up, there's several things I do. One is I get my coffee, go downstairs, blah, blah, blah. And then I go sit outside. So if you, sometimes I post my good morning shots like I did this morning. I don't know. I'd have to turn that into a PDF, and that's not even on my computer yet. But watch this. Let's see. So at the bright and early, yep, that's the sunrise. I don't know where that with a little crow buddy right down there. I don't know what that yellow thing is. A reflection off my lens, I think. But in any event, that's where I was, 6 o'clock this morning. Didn't have any time to. I didn't give myself any time to. I took the phone for the picture. That's why I'm out there. I'll sit there with my cup of coffee. I I put it in the middle of the sidewalk, best view. and there's nobody else. It's just me, and it's quiet, except for that crow, making noise and then doing whatever he was working on in the middle of the road. And another crow came down. He might be in that picture, but in the event that is, I'll sit there for a while, and I'll just listen, just feel the air, smell the air. There's no traffic, no foot traffic, hardly anything. So that's one thing I like to do, and that's a great way to start your day. You kind of get a sense of what the weather's going to be, and sometimes I've been out there in the rain. Another thing I have here is my gratitude prayer. Good morning, and thank you for this day. Keep that in mind. For the sun that rises and sets, for the moon and the stars. Thank you for the sight and smell of trees, the wind and the lakes and the sea, the rain, the sunshine. Thank you for the cycles of the seasons, and thank you for the sustenance that is provided from this nature. Thank you for our interconnectedness. Thank you for my body, my many emotions, my left and right mind, my friends and acquaintances who make great businesses, art, and music. My greater sense of purpose and being comfortable with curiously asking questions I may not get answers to. Thank you for this existence, which we describe scientifically at times, and is also juicy, rich, exuberant, quiet, awesome, young, and old, and can often be summed up as shitty, been in those shoes, as well as magical. I've been in those shoes. May I bring healing to it and be healed by it. So that was a prayer that kind of came out of me one morning, so I typed it down. I typed it up. Another thing I have is my morning quietude. So this is called the Creative Quietude in a Circle of One for Morning Mind Flow. Because I'm not real big on morning mindset. I don't want my mind set on anything. I want it to flow. And these are, it's a group of them. How many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 questions. They're not affirmations. They're called afformations. And I learned about affirmation from Noah St. John's book, which I think might be on my Kindle, as is The Gratitude Game by Natalie Pace. I'll get to that in a minute. So anyway, I have these things that I can read, and I remember creative quietude. I'm outside, I'm being creative. In that, I'm doing something within me. The brain loves questions. I think it was Niels Bohr who said, consider everything I say a question. And it's about morning mind flow. So I can ask myself any series of these. Some are based, so I've got physical, emotional, cognitive, social, spiritual. I've got them all, a couple business things. And they are questions. And what I have found is that as I ask these questions, it sets my mind to working. These are kind of like questions around my goal. So the one might be, how did I become so good at identifying and navigating my emotions? Because if I'm not good at doing that, what this helps me do is get good at that because it shows the roadblocks. It's wonderful. It really works well. And so I've got a bunch of them there, some general ones and then others. Anyway. How did I become so good? Or how did I become so magical? Or why am I so good at making the most of being human? Yeah, and these will be reflective. Now, so I come in, my coffee, it's time to make breakfast. And sometimes I'm not out there very long, depending on how long before my alarm I get up. But if I have time, I sit out there for 10, 15 minutes. And, I might start getting a little cool. I might start to get wet. I mean, I'll sit there and then I'll go inside. I'll observe and just breathe in and observe and listen. And then I come inside, and rather than get on this right away while I'm making breakfast, I read a chapter in Natalie Pace's The Gratitude Game. And she's got 21 little chapters there, again, on my Kindle, which is somewhere. Anyway, she's got them on her website, and it's actually a great way, not kind of, it is a very, very good way of establishing a focus for your morning, because every day has like a one-word mantra. So today's is abundance. I'm not real good at doing this daily. It might take me 2 days, but I'm going through it. And so interestingly enough, she's also got this thing called the Billionaires Game, and I think you have to be in one of her retreats to get that. It's simple, and it might even be in the book. I think it is in the book. So do yourself a favor. What I'm finding is that when I played it the first time, I couldn't even fathom thinking at the size of billionaire. That is was out of my mind. Just recently, because I think of this shifting focus and this is all being built on my nervous system anyway, and that's the foundation. Otherwise, this is just whitewashing. I suddenly realized what that actually means to be a billionaire. And I realized I could do that. I don't have a plan. That comes next. So one of my questions here, why is it so easy to dream huge? So this starts this thing to going, and then it's kind of like puts the pan on the heat, and it starts to get some temperature. You throw in a little ghee or olive oil, or maybe both, because you are now going to have to prepare some things to create this huge dream. I know, kind of mixing some metaphors here, but anyway, that's how this works. This takes time. If you have a problem dreaming huge, ask yourself that question. Why is it so easy to dream huge? I know. And here's the thing is, you're not telling yourself a lie. And you might say, dream huge. I can't dream huge. This is how you start. Why is it so easy to dream huge? You'll find out why, because this is now doing the cooking. That's how this works. And that starts to create a wave because in a sense, let's just say it's a frequency change, and you're turning the knobs on the radio, trying, that's not, you remember those days? I'm sure you don't, because of digital stuff. But if you did, I had a receiver where I could just kind of turn the dial, and then it's pretty good, huh? That's what that's like. That's how a receiver used to work. And you used to turn the dials, and there's, I think, a new truck coming out. I think it's called Slate. Roll down windows. I might buy one just for that feature. Anyway, it's an EV. The quietude, my gratitude prayer, reading, it all begins to change your focus into things that aren't headline driven, designed to make you fearful, designed to make you angry, designed to make you blah, blah, blah. You want calm and peace and abundance and creativity and liveliness. That's how you get it. You set yourself on that path. You start moving. That's the idea of a plan, really, is to move towards something. And then execute the steps. So for today, part of my plan is to execute the steps of moving money from one account into various others. So I have money for fun, then I have money for long-term fun, I have money for charity, I have money for my investments, and then I have to go to my investment portfolio, bring that money in, and then I have to invest it in some various things. And a few times a year, I rebalance all of that. It's growing. It's getting really good returns right now, strangely enough. But those are the things that you can do to increase your quality of life, even in this current environment. Oh, there's a lot of other things you could do. Playing sports, being with people. I walk around the neighborhood, and I only walk around the neighborhood for a couple of reasons. One is because I'm kind of watching out for my neighborhood, watching how my neighborhood changes, looking for things that don't belong here. And then I get to meet my neighbors. So the one just kitty corner, met her the other day. And then every once in a while I stop in and see one up over there on 3rd Street. No, 2nd Street. I'm always hoping that one will be out on 3rd Street, but that hasn't happened yet. It's wishful thinking. But when the blossom moon was out, oh man, all the blossoms along the pathway that I walk were just so fragrant. And I get to watch how my neighborhood changes, who's doing what, how the weather is affecting this, that, or the other thing. In any event, those are some of the things that you can do, because with the gratitude game, which I read while I'm preparing and then eating breakfast, sets my day. By then, I've got all this other stuff underneath me. I can sit outside and be grateful for watching the crow eat, for the sun to come up, because crow was in one corner, sun was in the other. I had to highlight it. My eyes can catch it better than the camera can. And so I've got no time scrolling until much later in the day, and I might even find out after the fact that, some actor dies, some sports guy I used to like dies, or, my age, that's getting to be too common. But, I don't know what's going on in the marketplace yet until I open up my app and say, oh, look at that. The market's down a little bit. Wonder what's going on there. Or this particular app is down, or this particular stock is down. Maybe. Okay. Watch a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Watch some science news of energy stuff that they're producing in China. I'm sure that'll be an EFT soon enough. And then Canada just accomplished something here the other day. Okay, there's some. And you know what that says to me? These are investment opportunities, because I'm not the only one seeing this stuff. So my long-term future can be informed by these things that I'm actually checking out on the internet. And I'm still not checking. I don't have news sites on my phone or anything like that. I'm asking questions sometimes along after, what's that all about? Well, what, are you not paying attention? No, I'm paying attention to things that are positive and things that will benefit me. Because then when somebody says, hey, what's interesting you this day? So one of my favorite questions, I can tell them. I have something to tell them that isn't negative. That's not going to bring them down. It's not going to scare them, not going to make them angry. Because these are the things that I'm looking for. Hey, did you see so-and-so's new artistic piece? Way cool stuff. That can happen. Anyway, just thought I'd let you all know that's exactly what I do every morning. Just about it. It's combinations. Maybe I don't get to my creative quietude. Maybe I don't get to my prayer. These days, because of the nature of the book and my relationship with my financial educator, which is Natalie Pace, I read her gratitude game every morning. Okay, but most of these, I do try to get outside every morning, depending on the weather. Sometimes I want to sit out there in my oil skin, but other times, nah, I'll hang under the underhand with my coat on, drink my coffee, because I know the sun's not coming up if the rain is coming down. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. I hope some of this you can absorb into your own life, because it's worth it. It is worth it to feel that way inside. And you are worth it when you and I have exchange and encounter each other. Because when this changes, the posture changes. It's worth it. Anyway, see you later. Bye.